Pete Prisco joins us from CBSSports.com. All right, Pete, 49ers and Jags. Interesting matchup, isn't it? I'm intrigued by this one on many fronts.
Well, yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, when you look at it from an injury standpoint, the 49ers are just crippled in a lot of spots. And they're a star-heavy team, and some of their stars aren't on the field. And when you have those big-name guys and you pay them a lot of money and they're not playing, that's tough to deal with. And so they did it last year. It didn't do it so well last year. They are 3-0. They haven't played great football, but they are 3-0. So it'll be interesting to see how they play and how Jacksonville plays since, the California's been a house of horrors for them over the course of their history.
Without a doubt. Pete, what did you make of, I guess, what I can describe as the worst backhanded compliment, I guess, that we've seen in a while in this league, with Robert Saleh saying that the Jaguars legally do a great job of stealing signs?
I don't know what he was doing, and nobody pushed back on him. What was the point of that? I mean, because he mentioned a couple other teams, and a lot of them came from that tree, the same tree. It's the Sean McVay tree, and Kevin O'Connell, and then you got, Liam Coen. And how could he know that Liam Coen does it? Because he's only been on the head coach for 3 games. So what is he saying? Todd Bowles did it too? I mean, I don't know where he was going with that. And the fact he brought it up this week, somebody mentioned to me, is he still angry that he didn't get the job in Jacksonville? Because remember, he was close to getting it. He was a finalist for that job. So I don't know why he did it. I don't know what his end game was, and I really don't know what he was talking about.
Yeah, it was really weird. Bottom line is, if it's legal, go ahead and do it, right? It doesn't bother me if you do it. If it's legal, have at it. So I have no problem.
Well, what was he saying? Frank, what was he saying? That they stand on the sidelines and they steal their signals from across the way? I don't know what he meant by that.
I think essentially what he was saying is that they're good at knowing that they're good at stealing signals. Now the question is, if you're talking into your if you're not making hand signals anyway, I don't know what they're stealing. I think what he was saying was he's with those guys enough. Shanahan probably does it too. McVay, Kevin O'Connell, all those guys were together, have a way of figuring out what the other team does. But again, he went out of his way to say legal over and over, right? So I don't think he was trying to say they were cheating. I think Hayes said maybe he's making an excuse. Could that be it?
That's what I think it is. I think he knows the beating is coming.
Wow, look at you, Hayes. You're already on that, huh? Since they've been, what's their record in California now? 1 in something?
Liam Coen is undefeated in the state of California as the Jaguars coach.
No kidding. You are correct.
So is that. Pete, what do the Jags have to do in this game? Obviously, there are teams that runs the football. The 49ers well. What do the Jags have to do in this game?
Well, I think on the defensive side of the ball, they can't get overly aggressive. And I say it all the time. When you play the 49ers, he does such a great job of getting you to go one way and finding somebody wide open, coming out across or on the other side of the field. He sneaks them out. And that could be McCaffrey. It could be, anybody in their passing game. The fullback has done it, and he's banged up, but the fullback has done it. So I think you got to be careful because they're a young defense, and the first thing you want to do is fly to the football. And that offense does such a great job, and we've seen it over the course of the years, of sneaking guys out and getting them wide open. So you can be aggressive, but you can't be overly aggressive. And I think that's something they got to keep an eye on. On the offensive side of the ball, obviously got to run the ball. And I think he can run the ball. But without Bosa in there, I think they can throw the football, and they can throw it consistently. And we haven't seen that yet. This offense hasn't looked good yet, in my mind. There's no rhythm to it, in large part because they have a lot of pre-snap penalties, all the drops. Trevor's made some bad throws. It just hasn't looked like a offense in rhythm yet. And I think this is a game where maybe you can get that going. And I think they will. I think Travis Hunter is going to do more on offense, and I think they're going to get the ball down the field a little bit more.
When you watch Fred Warner, do you still see a absolute elite player?
Yeah, and he's one of the ones. I mean, I say this all the time. You look at their roster, there's 6 guys, 7 maybe. You got Trent Williams, Brock Purdy, McCaffrey, Kittle, Bosa, and Warner. And some people would say Ayuk. I don't necessarily agree with that, but that's 6. Well, 2 of them aren't playing. Kittle's not there, and Bosa's not there. And what's the latest on Purdy? We don't know yet. I mean, and so I think when you look at it from that standpoint, it's hard to manage that. But to answer your question, Warner is a star and still is a star. But again, it's hard to do it when you're out there by yourself.
The 49ers just released their report, Pete, while we were on the phone with you. Purdy is going to play. He doesn't carry an injury designation.
And that's good for the 49ers and bad for the Jaguars because you'd rather play Mac Jones, and anybody who saw Mac Jones play last year knows you'd rather play Mac Jones. So that's not good news for Jacksonville, but you know what? They have other problems, and so I think you could still slow that offense down a little bit.
Pete, the 49ers are a high-profile team. We all know that. The Jags are 2-1, and we're at, after this game, this is the old quarter turn when there were 16 games, right? If the Jags win this game, is this the one that gives them, if not national relevance, is this the one that people notice? I mean, it seems like to me, if you get to 3-1 in this league, I don't care how if you get to 3-1, that's when people pay attention. Do you get that sense?
And they will because of next week. I mean, if they get to 3-1, it becomes a big game next week. It becomes relevant. No matter what the Chiefs do this week, that becomes relevant in a big way. So yes, to answer your question, I think this is an enormous game for a young team. And you're right. The 49ers have pedigree. They have cachet. They still have stars, even though a lot of them are injured. And that's a tough place to play. So you go out there and you physically beat them up heading into that game next week. Then all of a sudden you look around, you go 3-1, and maybe a Chiefs team that's desperate to win next week at your place. It's an enormous game for this young team.
What impresses you about the 9 takeaways that leads the league? Is there an element to that? It doesn't seem like there's a lot of flukes in there. It seems like they're doing a great job in enforcing them. Not a lot of unforced errors from the opponent. But what are you seeing when you see all these takeaways the Jaguars have generated?
Well, I think the pressure's been good. You know, they haven't been getting the guy on the ground all that much, but they're getting pressure. And I think Josh Hines-Allen's getting a lot of pressure. Walker's getting pressure, and those lead to turnovers. And I think the secondary is really improved. And I said that last week, I think, with you guys. The back end, the deep back end, those two are smart, heady, good football players. They'll tackle. They're not burners back there by any stretch of the imagination, but they're smart, and they know where to go, and they help get guys lined up. And I think the corners, Jordan Lewis has been a great signing for them. He's been fantastic. And for all the national talk about Travis Hunter, what did he do, not do it, you watch him play cornerback, he's natural. He's a natural corner. And I think that has helped them and has helped Tyson Campbell. I know Campbell got beat on the double move last week, but he's been better. So I think you add all that together, and that's why they're taking the ball away.
Pete, let's go around the league a little bit. Baltimore plays at Kansas City. Hard to believe one of those teams are going to be 1-3. What do you make of the game, and why did both start so slowly?
Well, I think if you look at it's a much more important game for the Chiefs because they're in that division that's better. I mean, you got the Chargers already at 3-0 and beat you. You got the Broncos who are 1-2, but they're still a good team. And then in the other division with the Ravens, you got the Bengals who know Joe Burrow. They're not going to be any good, and we don't know what to make of the Steelers. So I think when you look at it from that standpoint, it's much more important for the Chiefs, and they haven't played well because their offensive line hasn't played well, and they don't have weapons. I mean, it's kind of the same old story for them. And the Ravens, who saw their defense getting mauled in the run game the way it did last week, and the Ravens' defense and offensive lines have always been their calling card, and they were pushed around the other night. So I think it'll be interesting to see. And by the way, does Derrick Henry now have a fumbling problem?
Yeah, boy.
And the other part of that is he's only had 75 yards in the last 2 games combined. Is he slowing down? Is this it? And, and me, I always look at running backs and I go, okay, here we go. But Barkley's averaging 3.3 per rush, and Henry's had 70 yards or so in the last 2 games and has fumbled 3 times. Are the carries catching up to those guys? I mean, they had a lot of wear and tear on their body last year.
Yeah, without a doubt, it's a great point and something that certainly we'll keep monitoring as we get into October. In terms of Houston, great win by the Jaguars. It was an ugly game, but they get the win. Houston 0-3. Do you think the Texans still have life, or are they pretty much dead?
They're dead. I mean, all you have to do is take one little peek at their schedule, and you'll see how dead they are. I mean, this week they should win. They should get their first win because that Titans team isn't very good, and there's a lot of stuff going on involving that team. So they'll beat the Titans. But then you look at you keep going. I mean, they go from that to the Ravens, and then they got the Seahawks, and then they got the 49ers, and then they got the Broncos, back with the Jaguars, the Bills, the Texans, Colts, the Chiefs, the Cardinals, the Raiders, the Chargers, and then the Colts again. They will be lucky to win 5 or 6 games.
Are you buying the Colts, and how do you think they'll fare against the Rams?
We'll know more about the Colts by about 7:15 Sunday night because they have 3 wins against teams with a combined 1-8 record, and 2 of those teams are the Dolphins and the Titans, who stink. So
and Denver
we'll
should have won.
What's that?
And Denver should have won.
Yeah, and Denver's 1-2, by the way, and they haven't looked as good. So we'll know. Going and playing the Rams out there after that tough loss by the Rams is going to be a real challenge for the Colts. And let's be real. In the back of all our minds, we're sitting here saying at some point Daniel Jones is going to turn into Daniel Jones, right? Isn't that what we're thinking?
Yes.
I mean, he hasn't been. He's been great so far, but at some point he's going to turn into Daniel Jones. And I don't know if it'll happen this week, but I think the Rams is a tough game for them.
Pete, what's the biggest surprise so far? Either how good someone is, how bad someone is, anywhere in between for you?
I think bad quarterback play is my biggest surprise. Guys we thought were going to be pretty good quarterbacks have been dreadful. C.J. Stroud, he stinks right now. I mean, look, whether it's his fault or not, and I don't think he's processing very fast. Michael Penix, I mean, my gosh, he was awful last week. And Kyler Murray wasn't good last night until the fourth quarter. I think a lot of these quarterbacks around the league, Frank, are really struggling. And kudos to the defenses. I mean, the defenses throw so many different looks at these guys, but I'm going to pick on some of the offensive coordinators too. It's time, guys. You got to take some shots. You got to take some chances. I know everybody's afraid. Everybody plays off coverage. I got to be patient. You can get down the field against off coverage. You can beat it. You can get some, you play cover 2, you run 4 verticals. What happens? You're going to hit some big shots down the field. I think teams are far too cautious and afraid. Passing numbers. Look at the passing numbers in this league. Way down. Herbert threw for 300 last week, and you may as well have had a parade for him. Nobody's throwing for big numbers. Like last night's game, you watched it. All they did was rave about Sam Darnold, right? Sam Darnold. That's all they did, right?
Yeah.
He ended up with 200 yards passing because he didn't turn the ball over. Teams are scared. At some point, these coordinators have to go back to trying to take some shots down the field.
Who do you think wins Jags 49ers?
I think Jacksonville wins the game. I think they go out there and they're physical and they run at them. And with no Bosa, that's a different team. Even if you don't run on them consistently, you get in passing situations, they don't rush the passer without him like they do when he's there, obviously. And I think you can hit some shots down the field. So I think the house of horrors that it's been, California, I think they find a way to win the game.
And what a win that would be if the Jags can find a way to do that and come home and play Kansas City with a 3-1 record. Pete Prisco checking in from CBSSports.com. Thank you, Pete.
All right, guys. Take care.
All right. Pete does such a good job talking NFL. He truly, truly does.
Hey, y'all. Lauren Brooks here. Thanks so much for watching 1010XL Jaguars on YouTube. Please like, subscribe, and check out all of our great videos and channels on the 1010XL network.